Welcome.
Welcome. Honey, you jumped the gun.
I didn't know. I waited till number 10 and then I did it.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome
to another episode
of Driving to the Res with your favorite hosts.
Larry.
And Inelia.
Okay, we got it. I think we probably better just write it down someday.
Yeah.
Depending on what you like.
Yeah.
Or, it's all right too. It's kind of like a psychic practice. How close in tune are we in psychic?
Oh man, we're not
Today's
tuned in.
not a good day.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think it's because your brain's working in Spanish and mine's not. Because you were just on a Spanish call.
I was in a Spanish call, but I wasn't thinking in Spanish, so.
No.
Yeah.
Then I think it's because maybe because we got to bed late.
Yes. Yeah.
That has an effect.
2 p.m. a.m.
2 p.m. a.m.
2 a.m. 3 a.m.
Yeah, we are night owls lately.
Yeah, it's terrible actually.
I think the only cure for a night owl
Mm-hmm.
is getting up early.
Yes, it is.
We did that today.
Do you want to switch off your computer? So it doesn't bleem us. He's actually switching off his computer right now. So that was a yes. All right. All fixed. Yeah, take your mic back.
Okay.
Yay. All right.
Back when we were Yes. So, Spanish call today.
Yes, we were talking about the Gaia contract.
I heard the word Gaia quite a few times. Is
Yes.
Gaia Spanish Gaia?
Yes. Actually, it's not even an English word. I believe it's Italian or Greek. I can't remember, but it's something like that.
Okay, well, yeah, because I was hearing the word Gaia a few times, and I even heard my name once in a while, but that was about the extent of it. So I suppose if you're a Spanish speaker or you like listen in Spanish better, then where will they see that? I mean, how do they see that?
They find it on our Telegram group, which is Inelia en Español.
Oh my gosh, how do you spell that?
Inelia en Español.
All in one line? One word?
No, I think it's got underscores. It could be just spaces in between.
I suppose if you search on Telegram, Inelia and Español, you'll find something like
It's Español because they don't have an ñ.
Oh, Enya, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Is that curly Q thing?
Yeah, no, ñ is an N with a wiggly on top.
Yeah,
like
curly
a little
Q.
wave.
A little wave, curly Q on top of your
Curly
N.
Q. Yeah.
Okay, so N is the same as an N with a curly Q?
Yes, ñ.
Ooh, who knew?
So they don't have the ñ, so they do an N. Español.
All right, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Gaia contract. Interesting Gaia contract came up today because we have a Gaia contract team call today.
And the team is the people who actually wrote the contract, right?
Right, and are still interested in following up on massaging the contract.
Making it better.
Yeah, seeing how it's weathering the time and the exposure, and if there's things that need touched on again.
Yeah.
And looked at. Yeah, so just keeping it alive, the document.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you talk about in the Spanish side about it?
It was interesting because we talked a little bit about the history of it, how it came about.
Which is, for those of us who don't speak Spanish.
Oh, you want to hear everything I talked about earlier?
Just a few details as they come up.
Well, we talked about how the shaman shack came about.
Oh.
As being a location where human creation and Gaia meet in a high frequency way. So there's a little bit of history how we got to get the shaman shack.
That was quite funny, really.
It was, yeah. And then the first few events we had here, and then when...
Remember the first event? We didn't even have walls.
When Gaia wanted an event here, the very first one, we didn't have walls, we didn't have water, electricity, we didn't have a toilet, we didn't have a stove.
No stove.
We didn't have shelves in the kitchen, we didn't have a shower, we didn't have anything.
Literally nothing. And I remember you said, oh, guess what?
In 4 weeks.
Gaia said we needed to have our an event in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around us like,
What?
oh, really? Well, did she say how that was going to happen?
She said, "Don't worry about it. Just I'm going to whisper in Hopi's ear, and
Yeah.
it'll all happen."
And he did hear his whisper, and he did do it.
Yeah, and everybody arrived that we've been trying to get here forever.
Yeah.
Plumber, electrician, everybody arrived.
Okay, so on to the Gaia contract.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the history, and then where did how much resistance there was to certain words like contract.
Oh God.
And bride and groom of Gaia, all these names and things, and yes, how much resistance everybody that created the contract had to get over, and where the names came from originally.
You remember we had to call ourselves brooms instead of brides or grooms?
It was totally ridiculous.
Because then at least they would, we could talk about it if you're a broom, but if you're a groom, forget it.
Yeah, it was so ridiculous.
Firewalls are big, strong things.
Yeah. So and it took 9 months from the start of the contract. There was an event here at the Shaman Shack in 2019. So it was like 2 years after we had the first event here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all grooms and brides of Gaia that arrived, and the first few firewalls came up actually on that event. And and why did we use those names, and why have a contract, and the whole Guild of Gaia concept, how that came about was through a different timeline that in my experience I grew up in, and then came into this one in 2017. So that experience, and I was recalling that experience, and then we realized, wait, everybody in this group is a
broom
or a bride, and it was the Gaia contract took 9 months from thinking about it, the inception, to having a complete contract that's now on guildofgaia.com. And those 9 months were a lot of work. People met every Saturday to get it together. Every single word was explored, processed, and every sentence was explored and processed and explained. It was a long, long thing, and it's got tons of clauses and
footnotes
and everything,
descriptions and explanations and explorations of.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's also not, the contracts, you're not signing it with Inelia or Larry or a group of people. This contract is between the person and Gaia. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, their first part of righteousness is, why should I sign a contract? Why should I? I don't have to sign any contract.
I don't believe in contracts.
I don't believe in contracts. You want to get married and, blah, 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 blah. And they haven't even read it. Right?
Well, yeah.
Once they read it, they understand it. They understand what it's all about. Why it's a contract. When you come into Earth, you have already signed a lot of contracts. When you come into Earth, you sign a contract of engagement. In the rules of engagement, you will see all the bits that you signed to come into the Earth. And this is a contract between you and Gaia. And that energy is important. It's like a commitment. Right? So, yeah, if you have any resistances by the name, just read it. Read it.
Right. And, having it written out is useful because, you could say, let's have a high frequency relationship with Gaia. But what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. What does that mean?
What is high frequency? What isn't?
Yeah.
What are projections? What are, not really truly high frequency interactions? They are victim stuff or
victim aggressor, righteousness.
That kind of things. Righteousness stuff.
Yeah.
Is this the way it should be, so that's the way it has to be.
Yeah.
Right. So, like many things that seem simple on the surface, when you start getting into the nuts and bolts of it, you go, my gosh, I didn't think about it like that.
Right.
So it's valuable for that. Help you define in a way that you can understand that it's not just you, but you and Gaia working together.
Yeah, and somebody made a good point with that was that during the event, we were exploring the energy of we rather than me. Mm-hmm. So I am at this event. No, we are at this event, right? That energy, exactly. We're exploring it. And it was really difficult because connecting at that level with other people is painful. it can be very painful, and there's a lot of discomfort. But when we decided to connect with Gaia, everybody went,
Right.
Right, which is,
That's interesting.
That's interesting and part of it. So yeah, that's what we talked about.
Excellent. Well, where would people look for Gaia contract? I saw it on
The Guild
Walk
of
With
Gaia.
Me Now.
Yes.
There's a thread on there if you search.
Oh yeah.
Search for the bride and groom of Gaia contract. There's a thread with over 100 replies and questions and answers and questions and things.
Yeah, because after each clause, this group of individuals, after each clause, they would then post the clause in Walk With Me Now, and then everybody at Walk With Me Now would have their say as well. So it's a big job.
There was another thread too on the contract about embodying each clause for a week to see, what happens.
Yeah. There was actually a study group that formed in Walk With Me Now to study each clause and embody it for a week.
Yeah, it was excellent. Yeah. Excellent. That's the kind of thing that goes on at Walk With Me Now.
Yeah, it is.
If you're curious.
Yeah, some of those experiences are amazing. Yeah. And you can find it for yourself. If you don't want to go into Walk With Me Now.
Yeah, you don't have to.
It's not actually a Walk With Me Now thing, but I haven't met anybody who doesn't like that, except the people who say, I am not into Contra, so I'm not going to read it. And, those people haven't to Walk With Me Now, but everybody else pretty much has. And but you can find it at guildofgaia.com.
Okay, that's excellent.
And the menu says the contract.
That's right. The founders put together monies together as a group to host the site so that it would be released to, the world.
Yep.
Whoever's interested, here you go.
Yep.
Check it out.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I thought that was excellent.
Yeah, it is.
I still think it's excellent.
I still think so too. Yeah.
Okay, next thing to talk about has been on my mind, and I think we ended with it last week.
Oh, yeah?
Basically, it's the difference between a warning and manipulation.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because when you start to, I guess, when you're, I think it's worth looking at the difference, or in what it even means, higher self, or an expanded awareness, or things like that. So, I guess set the stage. Okay, you're walking along, and you see this giant sign says, I don't know. I gotta set a better story here. Just a sec. It just vanished. So the purpose, the difference, warning and manipulate. Okay, here we go. So here's a better one.
Okay.
You're walking along, you sit on your couch, and you go tick, 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 on your computer, and you type in Gaia guided exercise. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you do that meditation. And in that meditation process, by the end of it and through it, you should see in your mind a place on the planet that Gaia thinks supports you and her, or you and he, however you think of Gaia, best. And maybe that place looks like a sunny beach, and you're living in a city. Yeah. So is that a warning, or is Gaia trying to manipulate you? Or is that advice? This story ain't working either. Okay, let's try again.
Okay, try again.
You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, so let's say you got a job.
Okay.
And you like your job.
Yeah.
I mean, you like your job for a lot of reasons. One, there's the people that you know there. Two, you're good at it. You've been doing it for a while. Three, pays your bills just fine. You got all your stuff taken care of. Four, I mean, you invested a lot of time and energy in doing what you're doing to get that job. Five, you get along okay with your boss, kinda. Maybe, it's just maybe not the most rewarding, reason to be on the planet. But you know what? It serves its purpose. Yeah. It does good. And then they send you out a sign that says, you're going to get fired if you don't XYZ by February 2nd. Everybody has to. So, should you?
No.
Why?
Because we're talking about the jab.
Probably, yeah. That's what most everybody's getting forced into thinking they have to do.
Right.
To eat, to do whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
No, don't do it.
because it's manipulation.
Yeah, it is manipulation.
And on the other hand, it could also be taken as a warning. It's like, warning, if you're going to stay in this thing, this place where you found yourself and think yourself comfortable, which is now uncomfortable, is it also a warning that maybe you should quit that and go do what you're here to do?
Well, maybe that is what you're here to do.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. It's so it's very difficult to discern the difference between being manipulated to get a shot, for example, or being warned
to get out of
that shop and go do what you're actually here to do. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's very personal. I think on a person-to-person basis, the person will know, right? If they actually not that fond of their job or whatever, so just passing the time,
or even their country.
The
country is like makes it mandatory.
Yeah.
So is that time to leave that country, or is that a manipulation to get the thing and there's no reason to leave?
Or just wait it out sometimes.
Well, if you wait it out too long and you can't leave.
Well, you don't know about that.
I know we don't know, but that's the problem.
And
how do you figure it out?
Yeah, because what we found over and over from history is that with this situation, when they do these mandates, they always have a door out of it, right? There hasn't been a place where it's like, you need to do it and you have to do it and we're going to force you, right? We haven't had that situation. It's like, if you don't do it, you need to leave. If you don't do it, you're going to get to jail. If you don't do it, you're going to get fined. If you don't do it, you're going to get sacked. It's always a lifestyle change, right? That the person needs to take a decision from. So it's like, it's always a choice. Or if you don't have to, if you have an exemption letter from your priest or from your doctor, it's fine. If you don't, if you have that, you can do it. But you need to test every week. Get tested every week, right? Or every few days. So it's a lifestyle choice. It's a lifestyle choice. And if you don't like it, well, you should have listened in 2019 when I said create your own jobs,
Yeah, you probably wouldn't create a mandate on yourself.
That's your mandate, actually. That is the mandate. Create new structures.
There you go.
Create new structures, new educational structures, new work structures, new communication structures, new food transport structures. Create those. You don't have to do it alone. Find your tribe and do it. So there is nowhere where people are literally being forced to do it. It's always like that. And like we talked about before, these warnings that people are given or the fears of manipulations are really about the people who are based on fear to make their move and choose fear, right? Because the fear paradigm is not compatible with a high frequency paradigm. It's a self-governing filter. And there's no judgment, right? Nobody's judging you if you decide to take the job or not. It's just the low frequency people who are going to judgment. But in a high frequency environment, there is no judgment. There's discernment, but there's no judgment. So my discernment is, there's some people who I really love who are taking this thing, but I'm going to avoid them physically as much as I can because I'm vulnerable to the shedding. So it's really like stupidity in my part to become sick, right?
Yeah.
But it's a higher frequency. It's a higher self choice. Higher self meaning a broader awareness choice.
I think there's generally there's a process that you teach to move into a higher state of awareness.
Yeah.
So that you can be aware of whether or not this information you're getting is information for you to act on, which would be called a warning, or if it's someone attempting to manipulate you, and it doesn't matter listening to that. Listening to that is just being manipulated.
Right.
So if you hear, for example, I hear in 2 months, if you haven't gotten a shot, you can't work here. In 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Wait it.
So that means, first of all, if you feel something from that, which would be like fear of losing your job, for example, what would you do with that?
Process your fear, because otherwise you're just feeding the beast, right?
Plus, any decision you make out of fear,
it's not a good decision.
It's probably not a good decision.
Right.
I mean, when we explore that, we say, well, what about if a tiger's running at me? What am I supposed to do? Well, honestly, your fear response is to run away. And guess what?
That's what makes him
That's
chase.
what makes him chase you. So that's not good either, right?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And if someone is So most of the time, almost all of the time, practically speaking, all of the time, fear is probably the worst state of being to make a decision. Mm-hmm. It can give you an instant response, and sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. But, if you consider your response and do it fast, I guess it's probably more smarter. You're supposed to stand your ground or fight back or get a stick and hit him in the nose and things like that if it's a tiger or a bear.
Yeah. I mean, then you have that agreement with the animal, right? I mean, what's gonna finish? I mean, it's dinner or not? Because I remember there was this shaman guy from Africa who told a story about when he was a young man, and he was out in the fields or something. I don't know what they call it there, and there was a man killer. I think it was a lion or a tiger. I can't remember, but it was a man-eater one, and he found himself out there, and the thing chased him down and pinned him to the floor, and he was looking up. At first he was in fear, right? Mm-hmm. And so he ran. So he got caught. And he was pinned down onto the ground, about to be killed, and he suddenly lost all fear. He just wasn't afraid anymore, and just looked at this lion or tiger in the eyes. And then suddenly the lion just looked back. I was about to eat him and rip him to pieces, and suddenly it looked back at him because he wasn't afraid of it. And the lion just got off him and walked away. And he was like, oh. It was like suddenly he knew I wasn't its dinner, right?
He probably wasn't even hungry, but he ran away, so he chased him.
Right.
So as soon as he stopped acting like prey,
like dinner,
he wasn't interesting anymore.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I don't know how to deal with wild animals, so I couldn't really give you any advice. But I do know that with regards to human predators, if you don't become a victim, you cannot become a victim. It's literal.
Literal, right?
Yeah.
So don't be a victim, and these threats are completely meaningless.
They are. Yeah.
And also avoidable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When does these threats become a warning to leave where you are, though? Because how can you differentiate between somebody's just trying to manipulate you and someone, or a warning from, say, Gaia that, hey,
you need to leave there.
This village, is it going to be a bad place for you if you stay?
I think everybody who's listening is very intuitive, and they've had niggles. Mm-hmm. And maybe the niggles came in lots and lots of different ways.
That's
and
what
for
I
a
think.
long time.
They come for lots of ways and for a long
this
time.
Happened.
It didn't just happen.
Exactly.
You've gotten this information over a long period of time because guess what? If you were being warned, you were being warned over time.
Yeah.
Plenty of leeway,
of niggles,
headway, plenty of
information,
time for that warning to come.
Yeah.
In light ways, to medium ways, to harder ways, to harder ways, to harder ways, to harder ways, to more obvious ways. And especially as you worked on yourself, processed your fears, the information still comes. It's still telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not because you're afraid. It's because, this is data.
Yes, data, information.
Data gives you warning.
Yeah.
Fear gives you manipulation.
Right.
Remember, we were just reading World Economic Forum. You know what that is?
No.
That's the boogeyman.
Oh, okay.
Cootie Kool-Aid boss.
Okay.
Cootie Kool-Aid boss.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
Cootie Kool-Aid.
Yeah. There was an article. It was basically that a good narrative soundly beats the best data in influencing and motivating humans to act. So it doesn't matter what the data is.
Right.
A good narrative will trump it every time.
Yes, it is true.
It is true. Why? Oh, to remember why? Connection.
Yes, connection.
Emotional connection.
Mm-hmm.
People don't make an emotional connection to data.
No, they don't.
Not often.
No.
but they make an emotional connection too, and a story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit about the book that we're releasing in February the 22nd, 2022. The Earth Files, the Return to Earth Files edition.
Yes.
It reminds me a little bit of that because there's a lot of characters. Some of them are the same characters as the first book, The Return. And when we were reading them at Walk With Me Now, which is already there, the first draft at least is already there. There were a lot of individuals really, really connected with the character of Maria, which is Cecilia's sister. She's about 20-something, but her personality, she's got a very powerful personality, but she is a lot fear-based. Mm-hmm. And she's very egotistical, and she does fall for things, right? Through fear and through rejection or through the ego. Those things do manipulate her, right?
Right.
She can be manipulated through those energies, the low frequency energies. And of all the characters, I found that the majority of individuals related to her more than anybody else, mm-hmm. which was interesting to me. Because as well as being in that stage, she had the insight of fear being, and fearful stories being the way in which governments manipulate the masses, right? She had that insight and the ability to then step out of that reaction mode and into response mode, right? We don't know still which way she's going to go, right? Because in many timelines she killed the protagonist,
Yes.
We don't know in this timeline which way she's going to go, right? But yeah, it's interesting that it is, it's like a story her story is relatable.
So you can make an emotional connection.
Yeah, so you make an emotional connection because you can relate. So it's not just a narrative or a story, but it's a relatable story, something that you can relate to, right?
Empathy.
Yeah.
Also, yeah. That's that connection and that empathy and that ego and the way that people can be, I guess manipulated or affected negatively by that response. That was another thing that I was hearing about, something called a humiliation ritual. You ever heard of that?
You told me about it a few days ago. You explained a little bit. Can you explain a bit more?
So if you if your main drive is to become famous,
mm-hmm. On Earth,
you have an ego attachment to, being very famous, then you're probably very sensitive to what people
think about you. Yes. Usually goes together.
Yeah, so if you 100 people adore you and one person hates you, you fixate on that one person that yes. hates you or says something about you, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want to be, if the narrative writers who are currently spending trillions of dollars to make a narrative
to make you famous,
they make you famous.
Yeah,
they got to pick who they want to make famous, because they don't want to just put anybody out there who's gonna fall to
against them,
right?
Right.
They need some control, but they also need people who are strong.
Yeah,
I guess that's a word, strong, because it's
if you're easily swayed.
To sway. They're hard to be influenced by negative responses, right?
Yeah.
If somebody says they're stupid, 1,000 people said they're stupid, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're not affected by that.
Right.
In order to do that, they put them through a sort of process, and one of them is the humiliation ritual.
Mm-hmm.
That one is where they put them in a famous stage, and then if they're kind of a masculine guy, they put him in a dress.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make him show up to a giant gala in a dress and plaster them all over the paper and ridicule them.
Yeah.
Humiliate them.
Or an ad.
Or an ad,
yeah.
Right.
They have to wear a dress for an ad.
So it's the way that they get rid of phobias by immersion. So it's kind of like an immersion therapy for their movie star guys or girls, to humiliate them so that they aren't so swayed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That ritual is obviously low frequency. Is there some form of something high frequency you can do to insulate yourself from humiliation or feeling humiliated, or to the outcome of the humiliation ritual? Do you know what I'm asking?
No, not really.
So without going through a humiliation, without making me put on a dress and go to the basketball game and then be exposed to that for a while, is there another way to go about it so that I literally could put on a dress and go there and I wouldn't care?
There's two chapters of the Ascension 1-1 course that deal with the ego. One of them explains what is an injured ego and what's a healthy ego, and why all these religious methodologies that try to kill the ego are very, very bad and wrong for you. Because the human being actually needs an ego for survival of the singularity, which is actually important within a collective. And the other one is an exercise to reconnect with the ego and also make it a healthy ego. So that would be what I would do.
A much more high frequency method than going on humiliation. Because like when we go sit at the basketball game or whatever, and they make everybody stand up and listen to the national anthem or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't ever stand up.
Oh, me no.
No. But there might be 100,000 people standing up around you.
Yeah.
And you don't stand up, and it doesn't bug you one way or the other.
No, doesn't.
You didn't need a ritual to make you strong enough to do that.
Right.
But that's kind of the thing that's being used right now to manipulate people.
Yeah.
Even the appearance that everybody else, like for example, got the shot, and there's a very, very few minority that are stupid and didn't. Even saying that, the data is irrelevant whether or not it's true. Saying it puts the pressure of manipulation. And that's simple manipulation technique. It's like, it's hard to believe in a way how easy it is to manipulate people. But how impossible it is to manipulate other people for the same tactic.
We had a conversation about, it was a similar conversation some years ago at Walk With Me Now. And in that conversation, we talked a little bit about the genes that were integrated into the human collective on Earth from a different species that had a very hierarchical technology and culture called the Anunnaki. And within the human species, what they wanted to do was to create worker drones on Earth to mine gold for their culture and other things. Create gold, actually, because gold is actually created on Earth by humans and other beings. And one of the things they did was to create a caste. So they did, the majority of the humans, they had a gene that would obey. They were created to obey. And these people, you find them are very, very comfortable in, without judgment, in receiving orders, being told what to do, and they're happy and content in that role. They go and do it, and they're happy, right? That is what they need. They created some lineages that are order givers, right? And they're taught how to give orders. And these people are very, very happy giving orders and telling people what to do. They're very happy in that role. And, those are the two main ones on Earth, right? So the conversation went something like this. How do we find out which one we have? A lot of people have a mixture, but the majority of people have one or the other.
Predominant, right?
Predominant, yeah. So the question was, how do we make sure that we're not reacting to that gene as order takers? Like somebody will tell us to do something that has the other gene, and we'll go out and do it, right? How do we make sure we don't do that? And the answer is very, very simple, in fact, because when you expand your awareness and you process your fear and you take the things like limitations and how we create them, course that I have at ineliabenz.com, and every single course actually that I put out there is to expand the person's awareness and make them conscious of their actions. Once a person becomes aware, empowered, awake, and conscious of their decisions, it's actually impossible for that gene to take over and make them do what they're told. Impossible.
Gosh, I know, it's like so many times I'm trying to tell all these high frequency people to go do stuff, and they just literally won't do it. It's so frustrating. Ruined all the good workers.
Yes, ruined all the good workers.
But see, there is a difference, though, between power over others and structure and organization and teamwork.
Yes.
Even in a team, somebody needs to, like, hey guys, let's go this way, you know?
Yeah.
In Rome, we would call primus inter pares.
First among others?
Equals.
Equals among...
First among equals.
Oh, first among equals, yeah.
Right. We are all equal together here.
Yeah.
But how about we follow a plan? I have a plan in my head. Does everybody like it? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. No? Okay, what about this plan don't you like? Okay, how about we modify it a little bit? Okay, everybody agree now? Yes. Okay, let's go. So, not power over, but power with.
And responsibility over.
Responsibility, right.
Yeah.
So, it isn't necessarily high frequency just to say no to everything.
Right, exactly.
Or just be difficult to go along.
Yeah, so it's like conscious decisions rather than
consciously
programmed.
I'm deciding to support you in this project.
Yeah.
And how might I support you best?
Exactly.
This case, just listen to me.
Yeah.
Go do what I say.
So the part about the ego and the overcoming of those, like, you know, ego manipulations and ways, vulnerabilities, is the expansion of your awareness, the fear processing exercise. And also, as you expand your awareness, you become conscious of your choices. So, yeah.
Yeah, right.
You become invulnerable to manipulation.
Absolutely. I mean, you still can feel when you're being manipulated, and that's your warning.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's warning and manipulation in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Process your fear, expand your awareness, and understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then
make a choice.
Decide. You might decide,
yeah, I will do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Or you might decide, no, I'm not
I
going to do that.
So. Yeah.
Independent of the manipulation.
Correct.
Gotcha. And to reiterate, the warning, if you have, and you're wondering if this is a warning, the answer is, if it's a warning, you've been getting this warning for a long time.
Yes.
The best story is when you left California.
Oh, yeah.
You had plenty of warning.
Yeah, I did.
But it's a pretty difficult warning to listen to.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that should get people through the difference and the, knee-jerk fear response to, oh my God, is this a warning or am I being manipulated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there any negative consequences, for example, to basically mistaking a manipulation for a warning and like maybe quitting your job ahead of time?
Well, you can end up not being able to support yourself.
I guess
right?
That's negative.
Yeah, that's negative. That can never be positive.
You might that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Or moving, like selling your house and moving and everything else to get out of the country because you're afraid of what will happen if you stay because of some threat 2 months in the future.
Yeah. That you've never even had any, like, and you like where you live and everything. It's like, And the nickels, I mean, a lot of people, I've been telling people for a while now, way before this, make sure that you are where you want to be for a few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like I told people I'm not going to go back to Europe to do events.
I know, I was so disappointed when you said that because I had so much fun in Europe.
Yeah. And I said, I'm not going to travel. And I made sure that we were somewhere where we were comfortable living.
And we're in a place where people can come.
Yeah. So, yeah, by land.
To have an event.
Yeah.
So we don't have to rent one from someone. We don't have to have
Exactly.
their permission. We don't have to have their rules. There's no rules for our events.
Well, it's our rules.
Besides our rules.
Yeah, stay frequency.
What the heck?
What is that noise?
How come that made that noise?
Oh, you forgot to switch your phone off, huh?
I could never forget. I did forget. Got it. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's funny because I was watching my favorite tow truck operator. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that goes off road to go rescue the guys that get stuck in the mud.
Oh yeah,
and the sand and everything
favorite
else.
Show.
Yeah. He's building a Jeep, fixing his old Jeep. It's a yellow Jeep.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before in the
he's
show.
Putting new stuff in it, making it a little bit, I guess,
snazzy.
Better.
Yeah.
He was doing a podcast of it.
Yeah.
And his video was going to be about putting in the steering arms, or whatever, just engine stuff. Uh-huh. And literally the entire time he's doing this video, every 30 seconds, the phone went,
oh no.
So his answer is like, oh, he must have done like 10 times. He says, okay guys, so this video was supposed to be about the Jeep. Apparently it's going to be about a rescue because I've had this call nonstop all day. Now we got to go rescue somebody instead. So forget the Jeep. Let's go rescue somebody. And he pulled him out of the water.
Yeah.
It was quite funny. So what were you like?
I remember mud.
Oh, tell me about mud.
Well, I've been having this niggle that we should get an amethyst claim in the United States somewhere and spend a couple of weeks there and grab some. I mean, obviously it's a lot easier and cheaper to just go to a store or go to Amazon or whatever.
I got you some amethyst in the corner over there.
And buy some amethyst. Where?
The corner by the stove.
Yes, right there, right?
Don't have to go too far.
Yeah. But it's
I'll put it in some dirt.
It's a niggle
yes,
to do this. And I don't know what the major thing is, like whatever it is. But usually my niggles come that way. It's like they bug me in my head. Do this, do this, do this, do this. I'm like, why? Just do it. I'm not that curious about it. I mean, I'm very trusting of the high frequency guidance of my entourage. Mm-hmm. We do have a class on cleansing your entourage because your entourage doesn't necessarily have to be high frequency.
Right. So
usually it isn't.
Usually it's totally
a
isn't.
Mixture. So you don't want low frequency guidance, right?
Especially not right now.
Not right now. So go there, cleanse your entourage, ineliabenz.com, go to the store, Guides and Angels, I think it's called. And cleanse your entourage. Anyways, so I've been getting that, and it reminds me when pulling people out of the mud, because amethysts are usually stuck in the mud, right? And so I'm going to research that and see what that's about. It could be something completely different, and just following the breadcrumbs of guidance usually gets you somewhere.
Yeah, I have a feeling that too. I've been watching, and like I told you, I think we talked about it last week, I was watching this couple who were working, and they had this vaccine mandate thingies coming, and they're like, fuck it, we're quitting. And they quit their job, and they just sit around home, and they went to the mine next to their house, kind of, and they started digging up quartz crystals at the mine out of the rocks. And after a little while, they're like, why don't we just make a YouTube channel of this? Yeah, okay, let's do that. So now they just make YouTubes about digging up crystals all over the damn place. Onions. Diamonds. Diamonds in Arkansas, I think, and New York, and all over the place. And I was wondering if they had amethyst. So I've been trying to watch to see where their amethyst digging might be. That's interesting. But I always get distracted by the shiny diamonds.
Yeah, the shiny diamonds are very, very cute. Yeah, those are very nice too.
Yeah, so I never quite make it to the amethyst. But I'm looking, honey. Because that's all they do. They got a van or a camper thing. And they go camp at the mine, pay their $5 or $25 and go dig up crystals, then sell it on their website. And that's their full-time job now.
Nice.
Their videos are not the best, I'm sorry to say. But,
I think they're more relatable.
They're getting the hang of it, but they do it. Yeah.
I think a lot of people stop that type of thing, expression, because they're not good enough.
Yep.
If you just do it, you're doing it, and then that's how you learn, right?
Totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I keep watching their videos, so, you know,
We might get
they
one.
are working.
Yeah.
And we'll find out
wonder
what
what
this
it is.
amethyst thing is. I have a feeling it's a place to go.
I think so too.
Or a place to go. It push-pull is what we call it, remember?
Yeah.
You have a little bit of a pull where we don't know. You have a push to go there and a pull. We got to figure out where the where is.
Yes, we need to figure out the where.
Then we can have a matched push and pull and then be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Were you going to give a shout out to a bunch of countries?
Yes. So on our Telegram channel, are people posting their selfies and where they're listening from? Because last week we talked about how some of the countries
Right.
that people are listening to our podcast from, and it was really fascinating, geographically speaking. I thought it was fascinating, actually.
I loved all the pictures.
Yeah, really, really nice. I love them too.
Only one picture I wasn't super fond of.
Ours?
Yeah. That was epically bad.
It was epically bad, and it was the filter of drive over a bumped filter.
Drive over a bump filter.
Yeah. All right, let's have a look at some of these. Shall we go alphabetical order, okay? Are you ready? It's going to be fast.
Okay, go fast.
Go fast. Okay. So, Africa, Elizabeth and Pratt. Atlanta, Benjamin. Australia, Loretta and Nat. Austria, Sana. Belgium, Joel, Isel, Andre and Dirk. Brazil, Sheila. Canada, Jane, Delia and Petra. Chile, Juan and Michelle. China, Thomas. Colorado, Darla. Colombia, Audrey and Angelica. Costa Rica, Maria. Czech Republic, Christina. Denmark, Claudia, yeah. Or Claudia? It depends. Estonia, Heidi. Finland, Evie Maria. Florida, T. Marsh. France, William, Dorte, Odile, Pauline, Paul, Natty, Cecile, and Aline.
Whoa.
Germany, Rosa, AJ, Claudia, and Sybil.
Sybil.
It's not actually spelled Sybil.
Oh.
It's Sybil with an E at the end.
Sybil?
Yeah, Sybil. Sybille. Ghana, Ness. Holland,
Ghana?
Lisette.
Wow.
Ireland, Paulina and Silvio. Israel, M and Sal. Italy, Ora. Mexico, Myra and David. Netherlands, Margin and Ivan. New Zealand, Kirk. Portugal, Manuel. Romania, Laura, Adeline, Ilya, Daniela and Maxi, Cosmin, Andente, Lupul, Alb, and Christina.
Wow, that's a lot of Romanian.
Slovakia, Christy. Slovenia, Tina. Spain, Emma. Sweden, Bernd. Switzerland, Christina, Simone, Christian. UK, Max, Claremont, and Sabina. Washington, Brenda, Martha, Ashley, Ileana, and Audra. Wisconsin, TJ.
Wisconsin. Maybe they have amethyst in Wisconsin. We're
Yeah,
going to have
maybe.
some cheese curds and some... Is Wisconsin where they have cheese?
I have no idea.
I think so. Wisconsin cheddar, yeah.
And I know there's
think that's
people
where
that are
Juicy
missing
Lucy's
from
came
here,
from.
so yeah. And countries as well. So if you're in a country that wasn't listed, go to our Telegram channel, Inelia Benz public channel.
Find our selfie.
Yeah, get yourself
epically bad selfie.
find our selfie, respond with your selfie, your country, and your name.
There you go. It's nice to see everyone.
Yeah, it was. It's really. I've seen every single photograph. I really love it.
Me too.
I love going in there and seeing people's faces, connecting with them.
I think it's connection.
It is totally connection. Yeah, I love it.
I think that's what we started with.
Yes.
Connection.
And it's like I feel that I see you.
Uh-huh.
It's like when I look at them, I see you. I really see you when I see your photographs. I really, really see you.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end for the week.
Okay.
Acknowledging in the next week or two, we're going to have a look at 2022.
On the 18th
That will be on the 18th
of December
of December
2021.
2021.
We're going to have a live broadcast.
A live broadcast.
So check in Telegram and subscribe to our newsletter at ineliabenz.com.
So that you will find out and know and be told live what's
happening in 2022.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to know?
Yes. I think the past few years, since I can't remember when we started, 2012, I think it was the first year. No, 2011, I think. It's been pretty accurate. I'm actually quite impressed.
Yeah, quite impressive.
Yeah, it's been pretty accurate, the information that's coming through.
It's nice to know, and it's almost a surprise to us. I mean, it is a surprise. It's like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Because you connect in, and then when you're connected, you're tapped in, and you're like, okay, high frequency peeps,
this is
our tribe, this is what you need to know.
Yeah.
This will help you.
What you need to do.
This isn't a manipulation. These are your informations. Take them as you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, show up.
Show up. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to be part of the live call with questions and answers and everything, it's going to be broadcast live. But if you want to be part of asking questions and interacting with this seeing, make sure to join Walk With Me Now before that, so that you'll have the link to the Zoom part of it.
Yeah, because on the Zoom part, you have a Q&A part.
Yes.
And you have the opportunity to put a question or an inquiry or ask for, hey, can you look in this area or this direction, or is there anything particular about, you have some chance of input there.
Yes, you do.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, I feel as prepared as I can be for next week and the 18th.
Excellent.
Alrighty, honey.
All right, I love you, darling.
I love you too.